Dakota Ditcheva with the third round finish!
This is the story of Dakota Ditcheva, the British-Bulgarian wrecking ball who turned doubters into highlight reels. From cocky challengers to former UFC contenders,
Ditcheva!
Dakota Ditcheva!
they all learned the same lesson: never mock Dakota. But before we dive into the destruction, hit subscribe on the Band-Aid Battalion, where cocky fighters become highlight reels and talking trash leads to eating canvas.
This is it, this is it! And there it is!
So buckle up, because this is about to get brutal. The first fighter to learn this lesson the hard way was Sumiko Inaba, known ominously as the Lady Samurai. With 8 wins and only 1 close loss on her record, Sumiko was no pushover. She was a relentless pressure fighter who charged forward with reckless abandon, absorbing punishment like it was fuel for her aggression. Her chin seemed made of steel, and her fighting style was pure chaos. No reverse gear, just forward motion and violence. In the build-up to their fight, Sumiko made it clear she believed Dakota had never faced anyone like her, claiming that the undefeated prospect had never truly been hit hard. She even suggested that if she took out the face of the PFL, she would become the new poster child. It was bold, it was brash, and it was about to age like milk left out in the summer sun. When the fight began, Dakota wasted absolutely no time establishing dominance. A crisp left hand landed immediately, snapping Sumiko's head back and setting the tone for what would be a long night. Sumiko tried to implement her game plan of walking Dakota down and cornering her against the cage, but Dakota's clinch work was surgical. Every time Sumiko closed the distance, she was met with brutal knees to the body and elbows that sliced through her defenses.
I disagree with Ian Parker, but I don't see this going to round number 2 at this pace.
Round after round, Dakota controlled the pace, mixing up her strikes with precision and power. Sumiko's toughness was undeniable. She absorbed shots that would have crumpled lesser fighters, but toughness doesn't win rounds. By the time the final bell rang, Dakota had put on an absolute clinic, dominating every exchange and proving that being hit hard by Dakota Ditcheva was an entirely different experience than anything Sumiko had imagined. The finish never came. But only because Sumiko's iron chin refused to let her body quit. Still, the message was clear. Talking about Dakota's lack of experience and questioning her power was a mistake. If Sumiko's loss was a lesson in striking superiority, then Cornelia Holm's defeat was a masterclass in complete mixed martial arts dominance.
Cornelia Holm!
The Swedish wrestler came into her semi-final matchup with Dakota brimming with confidence. She boasted about her vast experience advantage, claiming that her superior conditioning and grappling pedigree would wear Dakota down over 3 rounds. Holm believed that Dakota's youth and relative inexpertise would crumble under sustained pressure, especially in the later rounds where fatigue typically reveals a fighter's true character. The tension was palpable at the face-off, with Holm's icy stare meeting Dakota's calm confidence. When the fight started, Holm wasted no time shooting for a takedown, clearly intent on dragging Dakota into deep waters. But Dakota's wrestling defense was rock solid,
making Holm work for this one.
and she immediately punished the failed attempt with vicious knees to the ribs that made Holm second-guess her strategy. The first round was competitive, with Holm surviving primarily by holding on for dear life whenever Dakota unleashed her striking combinations. But in the second round, Dakota turned up the intensity. A laser beam right hand connected flush on Holm's chin, sending her stumbling backward in a disoriented dance. Dakota smelled blood and poured on the pressure, mixing body shots with head strikes and making Holm's vaunted experience look irrelevant. When Holm desperately shot for another takedown, Dakota not only defended but reversed position, taking Holm's back and nearly securing a rear-naked choke. It was a statement moment. Dakota wasn't just a striker who could defend takedowns. She was a complete fighter who could dominate in every phase of combat. Then, in a move that showcased her supreme confidence, Dakota allowed Holm to stand back up, as if to say the finish would come on her terms. In the third round, Dakota delivered on that promise. A crisp 1-2 combination crumbled Holm, and a follow-up kick sealed the deal.
Dakota Ditcheva. Cornelia Holm, very difficult to put away.
Oh!
Yeah, and a power.
Dakota Ditcheva with the third round finish!
The wrestler who claimed experience would be her advantage had been systematically dismantled by a younger, faster, and simply better fighter.
Clinching her spot in the PFL Europe Championship, Dakota!
But if those victories were impressive, they paled in comparison to what came next. Taila Santos represented the ultimate test for Dakota's legitimacy. The Brazilian was a former UFC flyweight title challenger who had pushed the legendary Valentina Shevchenko to the absolute limit in a controversial split decision loss. Santos was skilled, experienced, and battle-tested against the absolute best in the world. In the build-up to their $1 million final, Santos engaged in psychological warfare, mocking Dakota's Barbie-like appearance by putting on lipstick and suggesting that Dakota was more style than substance. She claimed to be the more complete fighter and made it clear she didn't believe the hype surrounding the undefeated prospect. The stakes couldn't have been higher. This was Dakota's chance to prove she belonged among the elite, to silence critics who suggested she had been protected and fed favorable matchups. When fight night arrived, Dakota walked to the cage with a relaxed confidence that belied the magnitude of the moment. She danced her way through her entrance, a pocket of UK fans roaring their support. From the opening bell, Dakota established her game plan with ruthless efficiency. Her signature front kicks found their mark repeatedly.
Very careful about reaching down.
Snapping Santos's head back and disrupting her rhythm. When Santos tried to close the distance and impose her grappling, Dakota proved too strong, reversing positions and making the UFC veteran look ordinary. The striking exchanges were even more one-sided, with Dakota's power and precision overwhelming Santos at every turn. By the end of the first round, Santos looked visibly frustrated, her game plan already in tatters. The second round brought no relief for the Brazilian. Dakota continued to pour on the pressure, her body shots and knees sapping Santos's energy and will. Then, with the fight clearly slipping away, Santos walked into a combination that would define Dakota's career. A thudding knee to the solar plexus doubled Santos over, and a follow-up flurry of body shots forced the referee to step in.
She's in big trouble. Dakota Ditcheva to the bottom.
It was over. Dakota had just knocked out a former UFC title challenger in devastating fashion, claiming the PFL championship and the $1 million prize. In a moment of perfect poetic justice, Dakota walked to the center of the cage and put on lipstick, mocking Santos right back and cementing her status as not just a fighter, but a star.
I love to crush dreams, so let's go.
The momentum only continued from there. Katherine Coroginis, an undefeated American with 3 straight vicious finishes, made the mistake of claiming she loved to crush dreams. She believed Dakota's hype was manufactured and that she would be the one to expose the supposed golden child. The fight lasted barely 1 round. Dakota's front kicks and right hands found their mark early and often, and when Coroginis desperately tried to survive by clinching and wrestling, Dakota punished her in those positions too. Then, with seconds remaining in the first round, Dakota exploded forward with a massive right hand that caught Coroginis flush on the jaw. She crumpled to the canvas in a heap, and Dakota added a hammer fist for emphasis.
Right hand.
The Dream Crusher had her own dreams shattered in brutal fashion. Next, we have Chelsea Hackett. Her jealously claimed Dakota was an industry plant, suggesting her success was manufactured rather than earned. Jenna Bishop believed she could exploit Dakota's aggressive style. Both learned the same painful lesson. Hackett was dropped by a thunderous liver shot that left her writhing in agony on the canvas. Bishop was knocked down, allowed to stand back up by a supremely confident Dakota, and then finished properly with a follow-up barrage.
And the body work, Dakota Ditcheva with a quick.
Each victory added another chapter to the legend, another example of what happens when you underestimate Dakota Ditcheva. The pattern was undeniable. Fighters would talk, they would mock, they would claim Dakota was overrated or untested or protected. And then the cage door would close, and reality would set in. Dakota doesn't just win fights, she makes statements. She turns doubters into believers and trash talkers into cautionary tales. And let's stop on Malin Hermansson,
The poster girl, I don't have any pressure. She's undefeated, but she's not unbeatable.
who thought copying Dakota's pre-fight ritual of blowing a kiss would somehow get in her head. The Swedish fighter claimed Dakota wasn't unbeatable despite being undefeated, suggesting that her status as the PFL poster girl had inflated her reputation. Dakota responded by showcasing a completely different dimension of her game. She dominated Hermansson with striking as expected, but then took her down and controlled her on the ground before transitioning to a rear naked choke that forced the tap. It was Dakota's first submission victory, proving she wasn't just a devastating striker, but a truly complete, mixed martial artist. Valentina Scatizzi called herself an animal and promised to show Dakota who the real warrior was.
I can't wait to show you who is the real warrior.
The Italian believed Dakota's Barbie persona meant she was soft, that she lacked the true grit required for championship-level fighting. The fight was a massacre. Dakota's knees and punches turned Scatizzi's face into a grotesque mask of swelling, her left eye closing completely shut from the accumulated damage. The ringside physician was forced to stop the fight, sparing Scatizzi from further punishment. The so-called animal had been tamed and brutalized. So drop a comment below with your favorite knockout, smash that like button, and subscribe to the Band-Aid Battalion for more brutal breakdowns and savage finishes. This has been your reminder that in the world of Dakota Ditcheva, karma wears 4-ounce gloves, and disrespect always gets answered with violence.